Let me tell you about the strangest morning anyone has ever experienced. In 2008, a 32-year-old woman named Naomi Jacobs went to sleep in her home in Manchester, England. Nothing unusual, just another ordinary night. But when she opened her eyes the next morning, everything had changed. She didn't recognize the room she was in. She didn't recognize the house. She didn't recognize the phone beside her bed. And when she stumbled into the bathroom and looked into the mirror, she screamed. Because the face staring back at her wasn't hers. It was a woman, with wrinkles, with tired eyes, with a face she had never seen before. In her mind, she was still 15 years old. It was still 1992. But somehow, 17 years of her life had vanished. Overnight, without warning, without explanation. She walked downstairs and found a boy sitting at the kitchen table, an 11-year-old boy, eating breakfast. He looked up and said,
"Morning, Mum."
She had no idea who he was. What you're about to discover is not just Naomi's story. It's the story of what happens when your brain decides to erase everything you are. And the terrifying part? It could happen to anyone, even you. Naomi Jacobs was a single mother, living in Manchester, studying psychology at university. She was stressed, overwhelmed, exhausted. She had recently gone through a painful breakup. She was raising her son Leo alone. She had been battling illness, a stomach virus, tonsillitis, weeks of barely sleeping. But she pushed through, because that's what people do. Then one morning, her brain made a decision without asking her permission. It erased 17 years. When she woke up, she genuinely believed she was a 15-year-old girl living in 1992. Imagine that for a moment. You go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow believing it's 2009. Your phone doesn't make sense. Your home is a stranger's house. Your face belongs to someone you've never met. And a child calls you Mum. That was Naomi's reality. She later described it in her memoir, Forgotten Girl. I was terrified. I looked in the mirror and an old woman looked back at me. I was 15 inside my head, but the world had moved on without me. The doctors called it dissociative amnesia. Her brain hadn't been damaged. There was no injury, no accident, no surgery. Her brain had simply shut a door to 17 years of memories. And she had no key. But Naomi's case raises a question that should disturb everyone listening. If the brain can erase 17 years in a single night without any physical damage, then how safe are your memories right now? But Naomi wasn't the first person to lose her past. More than 50 years earlier, one man's tragedy changed neuroscience forever. And what happened to him was far worse. Because his memories didn't just disappear for a while, they never came back. 1953. A 27-year-old man named Henry Mollison lay on a surgical table in Hartford, Connecticut. You may know him by another name, Patient HM, the most studied brain in the entire history of science. Henry suffered from severe epilepsy, seizures so violent they made it impossible to live a normal life. Doctors tried everything, medication, therapy, nothing worked. Until a neurosurgeon named William Scoville proposed something radical. He would remove a small structure from both sides of Henry's brain, a structure called the hippocampus. The surgery worked, the seizures stopped. But something else happened, something no one expected. Henry woke up from surgery and couldn't remember anything that had just happened. The nurses introduced themselves. He smiled. He shook their hands. They left the room. They came back 5 minutes later. He had no idea who they were. He introduced himself again, as if meeting them for the first time. This happened every single time, for the rest of his life. Henry Mollison lived for 55 more years after that surgery, and in all those years, he never formed a single new, lasting memory. Every morning, he woke up believing he had just come out of surgery. Every single morning, for 55 years. But here's what made Henry's case revolutionary. Even though he couldn't remember who people were or what day it was, he could still do things. Researchers taught him to trace a star while looking at his hand only through a mirror. It's incredibly difficult, but each day he got better. Even though he had no memory of ever practicing, he would look at the researchers and say,
"I have never done this before,"
and then do it perfectly. This was the moment neuroscience changed forever. Henry's case proved something that no one had understood before. Your brain doesn't have one memory system, it has many. The hippocampus stores your story, your autobiography, your life. But your skills, your habits, your body's memory, those live somewhere else entirely, in the cerebellum, in the basal ganglia, in regions that Henry's surgery never touched. Henry lost the story of his life, but his body still remembered how to live. If you think that's disturbing, what happened next is worse. Because there's a man who didn't lose his past or his future. He lost both. Clive Wearing was a brilliant British musician, a conductor, a man who lived and breathed music. In 1985, a virus entered his brain, herpes simplex encephalitis. It destroyed his hippocampus, almost completely. When Clive recovered from the illness, he was alive, but his memory span had been reduced to 7 seconds, sometimes 30, never more. Every 30 seconds, Clive Wearing believes he has just woken up, for the first time. He kept a diary, and the entries are haunting. 8:31 a.m. Now I am truly awake. 9:06 a.m. Now I am perfectly, overwhelmingly awake. 9:34 a.m.
Now I am truly awake for the first time.
Each entry crossed out the one before it, because every time he wrote, he believed every previous entry was written while he was unconscious. He has been writing variations of this sentence for over 40 years. But there is one thing that Clive's broken memory could never erase. His wife, Deborah. Every time she walks into his room, Clive greets her with overwhelming joy, as if he hasn't seen her in years. He runs to her, he holds her. Sometimes he cries. "Darling, it's been so long." She might have left the room 5 minutes ago, but in his mind, it's been an eternity. And when Clive sits at a piano, something even more extraordinary happens. He plays, beautifully, complex pieces by Bach. His fingers move with precision, with feeling, with mastery. But the moment he stops playing, he doesn't remember that he was playing at all. "Have I done something?" he asks. 3 people. Naomi lost 17 years overnight. Henry could never build a new memory. Clive lives the same 30 seconds on an endless loop. But all 3 cases point to the same structure, the same tiny region buried deep inside your brain, the hippocampus. So what exactly does it do? And why, when it fails, does your entire identity collapse with it? Right now, as you watch this, your brain is making a decision. It's deciding which parts of this video you'll remember tomorrow, and which parts will disappear forever. This decision is made by the hippocampus. Think of it as your brain's editor. Every second, millions of signals flood your senses. Sounds, images, feelings, words. If your brain saved all of it, you would go insane. So the hippocampus filters. It asks one question: is this worth keeping? If the experience is emotional, unexpected, or important for survival, it gets built into a lasting memory. If the experience is routine, ordinary, forgettable, it gets erased by morning. This is why you remember your first kiss, but not what you ate for lunch last Tuesday. Now, here's what happened to Naomi. Her brain was drowning in stress. Cortisol flooded her system, and her prefrontal cortex made an emergency decision. It didn't delete her memories, it locked them away. Think of it like this. Your memories are books in a library. Naomi's books were all still there, but someone changed the locks on every door. That's dissociative amnesia. The memories exist, you just can't reach them. Which is why over the following weeks, Naomi's memories slowly began to return. In fragments, in dreams, in faces she suddenly recognized. But Henry? His library was demolished. The books were gone forever. And Clive? His library rebuilds itself every 30 seconds and then burns down again. Over and over and over. So your memories can be locked, destroyed, or trapped in a loop. But there's something even more terrifying that science has discovered about memory. Something that changes everything. What if the memories you do have, the ones you trust completely, are fake? In 1995, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus ran an experiment that shook the world of neuroscience. She wanted to answer one question. Can you implant a memory inside someone's brain of something that never happened? Here's what she did. She gathered 24 people. She contacted their families and confirmed that none of them had ever been lost in a shopping mall as children. Never. It didn't happen. Then she gave each participant 4 stories from their childhood. 3 were real. 1 was completely fabricated. The fake story described them getting lost in a mall at age 5, being scared, crying, and being rescued by a stranger. She told them their family had provided all 4 stories. And then she asked, "What do you remember?" 25% of the participants remembered it, not vaguely, in detail. They described the mall, they described the stranger, they added details that weren't even in the fake story. One person remembered the stranger's flannel shirt. It never happened, none of it. But their brain didn't just accept the story, it built a memory around it, complete with emotions, complete with images, complete with sensory details. A memory of something that never existed. Think about what this means. Right now, inside your head, you have memories that you trust completely. Memories of your childhood, memories of conversations, memories of things people said to you. How many of them are real? How many of them were built by your brain from a suggestion, a photograph, a story someone told you that you accidentally turned into a memory? Elizabeth Loftus put it simply. Memory is not a recording. It's a reconstruction. And every time you reconstruct it, you change it. So your brain can erase memories like Naomi. It can destroy the ability to make new ones like Henry. It can trap you in an endless loop like Clive. And now, it can fabricate memories that feel completely real, but never happened. Which raises the most disturbing question of all. If your memories can be erased, destroyed, looped, and faked, then who are you? On August 31st, 2004, a man was found lying unconscious behind a Burger King restaurant in Richmond Hill, Georgia. Naked, beaten, covered in fire ant bites. When he regained consciousness, he could not remember his name. He could not remember where he was from. He could not remember a single detail about his entire life. No identification, no belongings, no records. They called him B.K. Doe. He later chose the name Benjamin Kyle, but it wasn't his real name. He didn't know his real name. For the next 11 years, Benjamin Kyle lived as a man without an identity. He couldn't get a social security number. He couldn't open a bank account. He couldn't get a job. He existed, but legally he didn't. Imagine that. You can think, you can speak, you can feel, but you cannot prove that you exist. Police searched. Media covered his story. He appeared on television. He begged for someone to recognize him. No one did, for 11 years. Then, in 2015, genetic genealogy finally identified him. William Burgess Powell, born in Lafayette, Indiana. He had a name, but his memories never came back. He knew who he was supposed to be, but he still didn't know who he actually was. So let me ask you directly. If someone erased every memory you've ever had, would you still be you? You wouldn't remember your parents, your childhood, your first love, the moments that shaped you. But your heart would still beat. Your lungs would still breathe. So who would you be? Philosopher John Locke argued that personal identity is memory. Lose your memories and you lose yourself. But Clive Waring, who can't remember his own name most days, still loves his wife, still plays piano with the passion of a lifetime, still laughs, still cries. Is he no one? Scott Bolzan, a former NFL player, slipped in a bathroom in 2008 and hit his head. 46 years of memories, gone. He didn't recognize his wife, Joan. He didn't remember his children. He had to learn the meaning of father. He had to learn the meaning of love. But Joan didn't leave. She sat beside him every single day and introduced herself again and again. And slowly, not through memory, but through something deeper, Scott fell in love with Joan, again, for the second time, without remembering the first. Maybe you are not your memories. Maybe you are something that exists beneath them. Something that survives even when everything else is gone. Naomi Jacobs eventually recovered most of her 17 years. Some came back as dreams. Some came back when she heard a song she didn't know she knew. But here's what Naomi said that changed everything.
You're just honest about things.
When I lost 17 years, I didn't just lose memories. I lost my mistakes. I lost my regrets. I lost every bad decision I had ever made. And for a few weeks, I was free. I was 15 again. Nothing had gone wrong yet. And when the memories came back, I realized something. I had been carrying so much weight for so long that I had forgotten what it felt like to be light. You don't need amnesia to let go of the past. You don't need your brain to lock the doors for you. You can choose to set down the weight yourself. Before you leave, sit with one question. If you could forget one thing from your entire life, what would it be? Now think about this. If you forgot it, would you still be you? Or would you be someone better? Maybe those memories aren't just scars. Maybe they're the architecture of who you became. And maybe the bravest thing you can do isn't to forget. It's to remember and still choose to move forward. You are not your worst memory. You are what you did after.